It's easy to curse the winters, but here in the Northeast, we really have seasons. And that transition from winter into spring allows us to produce maple syrup. When the temperatures dip below freezing at night, but go above freezing during the day, the sap runs in the sugar maple trees. We decided to take a trip out to Ridge Valley Farm here in southeastern Pennsylvania to learn about this amazing process.
My name is Jim Myers. Along with my wife Susan, we operate the farm here. It's called Ridge Valley Farm. We make maple sugar, maple syrup, more maple syrup. The farm itself here consists of about 30 acres. We have approximately 600 trees, maybe 800 taps altogether on the farm. We originally started just in the backyard up above on an old fireplace that was built 100 years ago, just doing it for ourselves. And I would give it away as Christmas gifts to some of my customers for the business that I have. So I would end up making more and more each year, and one thing led to another. So now we're sort of in this pretty deep, to say the least. When I'm going to tap a tree, what I do is I look at the tree, and first I have to make sure that it's the right size. It's got to be at least 9 inches in diameter for us to put one tap in it. So on this tree here, it looks like I'm going to be very safe right about here. There's a tap hole from years past there. There's one there, one here on this side. So I think I'm pretty much safe right here. I use a 5/16 bit, and I just aim in a slightly upward direction, and just drill in about 2.5 to 3 inches. This is called a tree saver tap. It's a little bit smaller than what they traditionally used 100 years ago. They drilled a much bigger hole in the tree. In theory, I guess it did a little bit more damage to the tree itself. And these here generally are smaller and do and work just as well. You get just as much sap out of a smaller hole. Put the tap in there. And when my hammer bounces, I know it's in far enough. And we use drop lines to go into our buckets. We have a lid on the bucket to keep the dirt out and most of the bugs. And then once it starts running, it'll just drip right down into the bucket. This is the maple syrup evaporator that we have. It has 2 pans. The larger back pan is called a sap pan. The front pan is called a syrup pan. The sap is fed into a float system that keeps the pan consistently level with a certain amount of sap to be boiled at all times. So as the sap is boiled away, the water has gone away, this float gives more sap to keep at a consistent level. The sap then, after it's heated, travels through another float system and comes in into the syrup pan. That is where the syrup is finished off and cooked down to what we consider to be syrup, which is pretty close to 64% sugar. So that's one of the reasons why syrup lasts so long, because it's so high in sugar. When it gets to about 219 degrees, then it's getting very, very close to being what we consider syrup. And that's when we draw it off and start running it through the filters.